still watching the screen a little bit black. Okay, we're on. Okay, hello guys, and happy New Year. I know it's a little bit late, but I'm back. I'm back, guys. So today, this is gonna be my first streaming about talking the topic about UVs. I know many people hates UVs in many different ways. I understand how much you hate it, but first of all, you need to understand that UVs are gonna be your friend because they are the one of the most important parts for VFX in many different ways. With UVs, you can control a lot of the surface of the objects with textures, with physics, with many different things. You can attach many different VFX with the UVs. And also for skinning and many things like that, you can save many other things. So, what I'm gonna cover in this first part about UV tips, um, I'm gonna use an old camera, a German camera that was built in Stuttgart, in Germany. Is the Zeiss Ikon Ikoflex Isla is the model. There are different models. This is the 855/16. So we're gonna start knowing and meeting or watching the different tools that we can explore at this moment with the newest version of Blender. Blender has been upgrade really good with the new add-ons and the new extensions. The extensions are amazing because I found many different tools of for the UV process, especially for straight UVs and many other things, pinning, etc., etc. I know UVs is a very hard topic to understand when you are very picky about understanding that we need to do the UVs for the rest of the process in a pipeline. So what we're gonna start is this is Blender 4.3.2. So my Blender is a little bit customized right now. So I have several tools for UVs. So I'm gonna cover some stuff and some other stuff I will not because many things I have already covered in in different videos before. So in this occasion, so I'm gonna cover some different stuff. I'm gonna more than give you tech. I don't know how to explain it. Is I'm not gonna give you the 1 2 3. I'm gonna give you tips how I approach my goal with UVs and how I approach the main goal to understand how the UVs are behaving in the UV editor. And also, I'm gonna talk about some important things that, for example, if you wanna use, for example, some specific text engraving on the camera, for example, for the name in this part, for example, Ikoflex. So some people is gonna tell me, so why don't you use, for example, in this case, a full HD 4K? So we can use it in many different ways. We can use, for example, UV sets, but also we're gonna use UDIMs. UDIMs is a process where you can, for example, gather all your. I'm gonna first of all, before that, I'm gonna select everything in here, and then I'm going to delete the UV maps in here that we have for everything in here. So the thing is this, it's gonna take me some time because I have the UVs for all of these guys completely separate pieces. So I'm gonna cover in this first part. I'm just gonna cover, for example, in this case, let me think. maybe the plastics, the plastics and metallic and metallic plasticky. I'm gonna cover this part just in this first part. I'm gonna cover these guys here, and I'm gonna explain you many things about that. So just forget a little bit about the metallic part, the completely metallic parts, and the leather parts, and the glasses part, because we have lenses and things like that. So these are the lenses. I don't know why do I have my okay, I'm gonna move these guys into the glasses. So glasses, lenses, I don't care. So I have a lot of parts in here, as you can see here. I already check all the um, the references that I already collect, because this is a part that is already done, and I received pretty good feedback and really kind comments about the results. So I will show you the results possibly in another tutorial, or possibly I'm gonna do the tutorial how to approach the texturing process for this, and also the shading. This is gonna cover only UVs. So I'm gonna start with these guys, and I'm gonna just start deleting all the UV maps, because I'm gonna teach you how to approach the goal for these guys. So if I select everything in here, it doesn't work like as you can see, the next piece is gonna still have the UV map. So possibly I'm gonna do a script with the ChatGPT or other AI um, researcher softwares like DeepSeek, possibly because DeepSeek gave me pretty good results. Is the new Chinese rival of ChatGPT, and I have already used it to do some scripts to change the color profile for the PBR, and also to change everything from single image to UDIMs just with one click, and that's pretty good actually. So, but I want to do a script to delete all the UV maps just with one click, because I don't want to combine anything in here. I don't want to do that, because I'm gonna lose so much time just renaming everything in here. I prefer just to delete everything manually in here, so it doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, as you can see, everything is already named, but the problem is because I export everything in OBJ, I didn't want to attach or link anything in here, because the problem with linking and attach is or append is that it brings so much data, garbage data. So that's something that I don't like, because I need to purge um, all my data in here. I need to relocate all my pivots and things like that. I don't want to lose time with that. So let me just delete everything manually in here. For example, let me just put this. We're gonna see just these pieces. I don't know how many pieces do I have in here. I'm gonna count these guys later. Possibly there are 20. We have 20 here. So let's just start just deleting these guys in here, because we want to start from zero about the UV process, and I don't want to mess anything with this. So once we have everything already deleted by that, is just we're gonna do something more. In my case, I'm gonna just start just using the screencast keys, because I want you to see all the buttons that I'm using here in my keyboard. So let me just start just using this. Let me see. Okay, we have this, but I don't see my things. Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can see all my keys in here. This is much better, guys, because we're gonna I can change it actually, because I can just put it depending on the area or region. I don't care in this kind of situations. So I can change it. For example, in this case, I'm in window for the region in this. So let's just start just working with this, and we're gonna just work with these pieces in here. So as you can see, many pieces in here are like squares, rectangles, um, circles, and many other different basic shapes that we know from math or technical drawing. So first of all, I found many different new tools here in the extensions of Blender about UV tools and UV process. So we have the Uni UV that you can just arrange, transform, fill UVs, etc. We can relax the UVs. We can just ungrab things in different ways, like static UVs. We can stitch in some UVs. This is actually pretty good, but I don't use the Uni UV. In my case, for example, I use the Mio 3. The Mio 3 works in very different ways. Has several tools when you start just unwrapping things. As you can see, I enter into the edit mode. So in edit mode, you're gonna find many different ways. The Mio 3 UV tools has several tools that they're a little bit similar, like Maya and 3 Studio Max and the other. I don't remember the name. The I don't remember the new software for UVs that is very popular right now. But Blender has pretty amazing tools too, and it is gonna save you so much time, and also the most important part, this is free. So now in Blender you are able, with Maya 3 UV tools, you are able to unwrap in horizontal and vertical. This is pretty good because sometimes you're gonna have to do that with some cylindrical shapes and things like that. You have the common unwrap. This is pretty good. You have normalize, that you're gonna normalize the spacing between all the UVs or vertices in there. You can straight UVs, you can gratify, you can just make everything like straight just in a rectangle. You can rectify play zones in here, some areas in the UVs, like if you have like a zigzag shapes in there, you can rectify those guys. This is pretty good. You can align islands or shells of UVs in here. This is really good and amazing because it works pretty good when you, for example, for video games, you need to have it. I'm a big enemy about people saying just lay it out and that's it, but you don't know if the layout is gonna, the unfold and the layout in Maya is gonna do in the proper way. Is gonna flip the UV shell, or is gonna do something crazy. So in this case, for example, I prefer to use these kind of things to align my stuff in order just to have pretty good order in there. So we have fixed modes to work with edges, with islands, orientations, align seams, etc. We have relaxing vertices. We can propagate it in circles, offset the UVs, distribute the UVs along one way or other. We can stack UVs one over the other. We can overlap the UVs in here. For video games, it's pretty important to work with overlap UVs. For example, for bolts, for screws, and things like that, that they're pretty small, and that the fans will never perceive the difference in there. So we have copy and paste UVs. That's pretty good actually, but that's something that I will not cover right now because I need to explain some other stuff about the modeling process. Because when you, let me explain it. If you want to copy your UVs, you have two different areas where your things are gonna be in there. You have global position and you have object position. The problem is that most of the time, doesn't matter if you use the ultimate tools in Maya or 3 Studio Max or racing tools, the racing UVs. That's the software. I got it right now. So it doesn't matter if you want to copy UVs, copy and paste the UVs from a similar or exactly the same shape. That's not the deal. The deal is that when you are copying and paste UVs, you need to have exactly the same order in object space or global space in order that this process works. So if that doesn't match between two shapes, it won't work. So first of all, when you start just UV mapping, you need to understand that for example, you have screws. This is my case because I will show you later how to do that. In my case, for example, I choose to have, in my case, for example, um, a main bolt. I model one bolt, and then I prefer to map only one bolt and then just duplicate special in order just to avoid to copy paste and then have some technical issues in there. So continuing with this, we have unified shapes, we have average island scales, symmetry, etc., etc., etc. Also, this is a freebie one, but I trust it at some point, but not 100%. For example, we have a new tool that is 100% open source, but the problem with this one is about the island scale um, between islands. The UV packer. This is actually, it is very useful if you want to start just doing UDIMs. It propagates just along all the UDIMs in here. The main problem with this is that it doesn't work 100% accurate. Sometimes you're gonna see that some packing in different UDIMs in the UDIM 1 or 3, for example, that they don't match exactly the scale 1 on 1. Sometimes it's 1 on 2, 1 on 3, but randomly. That's something that it's a little bit annoying because in a proper pipeline, this is something that your supervisor or your lead is going to tell you. We have a variation on the textures, so we have something pre-sharp and we have something pre-blurry. So that's something that is going to bring you a headache later. So it's alright. In my personal case, for example, I prefer to invest some money, like some $20 or $30 in my case. Long time ago, I invest some money in the UV Pack Master third version. It's really good. It's very accurate, and it's 100% worth it. And it works really, really nice, and it's very easy to understand. I just watch for 10 minutes the only the first video, and I understood everything in there. So we have another helper in here. We have the textile density. The textile density, as you can see in here, we don't have anything right now because the problem is that we don't have any UVs in here. I'm gonna just UV something pretty fast, like a crazy guy. So we have the textile density that we can calculate the textile density by pixel or centimeters. And then we can set the value in order just to propagate and set my texture density to other pieces. This is pretty useful. This is the first time that Blender has something pretty good, because sometimes you just want to copy and paste some of the textile density from one piece to the rest of the islands in there, and Blender didn't have this tool before in the past. It was very annoying because you had to average island scale everything at the same time. That's something that you don't want, because sometimes you just want to preserve all your UVs that you already have, and you just want to alter just one piece, and that's it. So let's just start. Let's just delete this guy in here. I'm gonna just rip this guy, the UV maps in here, and I'm gonna start all the things. I'm gonna purge the unused data in here. I don't need those two nodes in there. And we're gonna start this occasion with simple pieces in here. For example, let's just start with this piece in here. I'm gonna Shift H just to hide the unselected pieces in here. So as you can see here, let me just go back and let me just select everything, and let me just clear the transformations 0, 0 and scale 1, 1, 1, and then I'm gonna relocate the origin into the geometries in order just to see the axis close to the piece that I'm selecting right now. So first of all, as you can see here, this is a perfect rectangle. So I have already studied my piece, the camera in different references. So in here we're gonna have, for example, in this section, we're gonna have all the image and the brand of the camera, that is Ikoflex. And this section in here that we already have in here that I'm selecting right now, this guy in here, this is 100% metal, and the rest of the pieces in here, they're like paint or plastic metallic. So first of all, before we start just UV mapping anything you want or anything that you have in your head, you need to think what you have and how many materials you are gonna have. Or if you want to sacrifice, for example, the memory cache, the virtual memory of your project, with using only one material or two, against to have, for example, glass, pure metallics, metallic plastics, or plastics. In order just you have to choose in order to have two materials, or like 5 different materials, like one for plastic, one for metallic, one for metallic plastic, one for plastic. So in my case, I prefer to have control with different materials because I don't want to distort or alter the rest of the shapes that I have already separate in collections. As you can see here, I have my plastics just in one collection, and I have my metallic just in another, the leather in another, and the glasses in another. In my personal case, for example, when I apply some roughness or some scratches for glasses, commonly I use some black and white images in a procedural way. If I want to use an image, I can just, for example, take a photograph from a wall that is wear and tear, and then I just change it in Affinity Photo, Photoshop, or GIMP, and I transform it into black and white, and then I do my own textures. The other ways to use, for example, Substance Painter or Substance Designer, to do something procedural, some seamless or tailable textures, just to apply, like, I don't know, possibly 1K 512 pixels square, in order just to have some scratch randomly in there. I don't want anything extremely accurate, and then I use masks in here. So let's just start with this. So in my case, I'm gonna use different materials for different sections. I'm gonna use almost like 5 materials because I want to have control. I don't want to change anything in the rest of the materials or the rest of the pieces at the same time. I want to have 100% control, because if I have control, the client is going to be very happy if they need to do changes. So let's just start in here. So first of all, we need to identify borders in here. So as you can see here, I have a little bit some issues in here about modeling. Let me just change these guys in here. I'm gonna just I'm gonna relax these guys just in order just to have something a little bit more well done. Let me just do this, and I'm gonna do exactly the same with this guy and this guy, because I don't want to have any troubles in the UV process, because I want everything in there. So is this. So the bottom part is really good. So I wanna find first of all the um all the different borders in the shapes. That's something that's the most important part. So first of all, I have one line in here and one support line in here. So the middle one is this one. So I can make my cut in there. So this is pretty important to know in UVs, because if you identify all your contours or borders in here, so you already know where to make the cuts and where you're gonna have control for UVs. In my case, this is alright. For example, I'm gonna make my cut in there and I'm gonna Control E and then mark seam and clear seam. These are the guys to mark the lines to separate things for the UVs. In my case, I'm gonna use mark seam in here because I wanna make my cut in the UVs when I unwrapped in here. I wanna separate this guy from the rest of the guys in here. Another part in here is because this is a metallic paint or plastic metallic, and this one too, but not this one in the middle. So I want to separate this guy in here in a completely different island, because I don't want to interfere metals with paint metals. So in this case, I'm gonna make some cuts in there because those are my support line, is one in here and one in here. So in the middle, just the border. In this one is also exactly the same. So let's just get close and then you just select this one. As you can see, we have 1, 2, and 3. So we already marked in red these guys, and I'm gonna show you what I have. For example, right now, as you can see, I haven't given the order to unwrap the things. So in this case, I'm gonna select everything here outside, and then I'm gonna click U, and I'm gonna bring all this panel in here with the UV mapping tools in here. So we have unwrapping things, and we have a new tool in here that is called minimum stretch. This is really good, but it depends what you want. In my personal case, for example, to make straight cylinders and things like that, I prefer conformal. Angle base is more to unwrap more complex things, and minimum stretch is like kind of both a little bit, but you have iterations in there just in order just to give more effect to unwrap things. We have project or planar projections that is gonna adjust for the bounce in the UV editor, or you are gonna just project the planar stuff just how far is from the camera. And we have UV copy and paste, transfer, blah 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 blah, etc etc etc. So let's just go for the first one. Let's just use angle base in this case. So we already have this. So as you can see here, we already have these UVs in here. So let's watch what happened with conformal. So as you can see, the difference is very big. This one is a little bit rounded, and these guys too, a little bit rounded and a little bit they're crooked. But with conformal, is a little bit more organized in here. It's a little bit more straight, and this is a little bit more straight, a little bit more straight. This one too. So in this case, for example, shapes like this, for example, like oval, they're very hard to texture. Many people say, I don't want to waste time in the UVs. Yeah, but you're gonna waste so much time in the texturing process, because sometimes you want to texture some specific areas, but this shape doesn't help you so much. So in my case, for example, I already know that these are the borders for these corners. So in my case, what I'm gonna do in here, you can also make cuts, you can also make seams in here. So these are the borders in here because I recognize these guys. I'm gonna make in my case some cuts in here. I change my mode into the edges, and then I'm gonna make mark seams. As you can see, the seams are already selected in here, are marked in red. So I'm gonna select Control Tab, and then you can select vertex, edges, faces, and islands. In my case, I'm gonna select this island, and then I'm gonna click U, and I'm gonna select minimum stretch. So as you can see here, it's already unwrapping things in here in a very, very nice way. Conformal is very nice too, but we have not so much options in here. If we change it in here to minimal stretch, we have iterations. These are pretty good because, for example, we have 10 iterations. We can put 32. It's gonna try to stretch everything as much as possible in order just to have something more properly done. And then, for example, I'm gonna do exactly the same with this guy. I'm gonna do this. In my case, for example, in this case, I'm gonna cut in the middle because I don't want to have so many. For this part, I don't want to have 4 shells. I just want to have 2. So let's just unwrap again this guy in conformal, or we can use minimum conformal. So as you can see here, the difference is a little bit different. As you can see, this is a little bit like how to say, like pretty tight and the thick, very thick in here, and very thin in here. So we want to have something a little bit more organized with shapes, a little bit more organic. So angle basis is working pretty good in this occasion. So in this case, for example, what we already have in here, we already have everything already unwrapped. But what do we want when I was talking about order? So because the brand, the logo and the brand is gonna be in here, I wanna know which face is gonna be this guy. So just deselect this guy. So as you already know, is this guy. So let's just select the island. Let me just, okay. All right, yeah, this is the new version of the pie menus for entering and exit the windows. That's something that I don't like personally. So in this case, for example, I'm just gonna rotate 90 degrees, like R minus 90 degrees, and then I'm just gonna put it in here. So the other part is that I wanna know what is it. Is the back part. I know in the render section it will not appear, but let's imagine if the client tells you or says to you, I want the camera just disarm or detach everything in pieces because I want to do a commercial with the different parts, and I want to show the clients in the commercial and the ads how the camera is built inside. So you're gonna need to unwrap properly everything, and you need to know what are you texturing in the process. So this one is this guy in here. So let's just select again this guy, and then let's rotate 90 degrees. So you already know that these guys are properly rotated. You know these guys, which one is who. So for these two pieces, in my personal case, what am I gonna do with these two guys? It's already really good done, but what if we could have these two guys 100% straight? That would be really amazing. In my case, for example, I'm gonna use the Maya 3 UV toolkits in here. So what I'm gonna do in here, I'm gonna try to find these tools that we already have in here, and I'm going to use the gridify for these guys. I'm gonna gridify this guy, and this is gonna make everything straight in a rectangle while you have only quads. If you have triangles, this will not work. It's gonna destroy your UVs. You need to be very carefully with this. So select the other guy and gridify this guy. And many people is gonna start complaining when I start just explaining this. Okay, first of all, we have these pieces in here. These these four islands that they belong to the main of the body where the logo is gonna be in there. So it's this, and the other side and the bottom part. Okay, in my personal opinion, for example, in this case, I'm gonna just put this guy, for example, in the exactly way of the rotations. In this case, I'm gonna is 180, 90, sorry, 90 degrees. So it's the top, the bottom, and this one. I need to know also this guy is this guy. So it means that this guy should be rotated 180. So we already have everything rotated in a proper way. We can leave these guys like this, but also we can rotate these guys like 90 degrees like this in order just to have everything. As you can see here, we already have everything in horizontal position. This is pretty good because you can save space here in the UV editor. So what do we have to do next? First of all, if we already have only quads in here, like shapes with 1, 2, 3, 4 lines in there, so we can force some shapes in order to have gridify or rectify shapes 100%. People is gonna tell me, but how are you gonna manage all the distortions? Because this is like a concave, like a V shape in here. Okay, sometimes guys, you can gridify or straight the shells and force them just a little bit. It depends on the context. It depends what you are gonna do. In my case, in my personal case, I prefer to force the UVs for these kind of shapes that they don't have so much distortion. There's not so many degrees from this point to this point. It's almost like 2 degrees or 3 degrees. So in my case, I prefer to have, for these 4 guys, I prefer to gridify these guys like this. Why? Because it's gonna be more, it's gonna be easier to texture. Some people is gonna tell me, but if you wanna paint some specific section, so it doesn't matter. It's gonna, if you start painting this in Substance Painter, it's gonna adapt to the shape. If this is video games, possibly your supervisor is gonna tell you just make it straight, just gridify it, and that's it. Don't play with the full deck in this section. Just gradify everything, because you will not texture. Someone else is gonna take it, and they prefer rectangular shapes in order just to have everything, and everything you're gonna have like horizontal shapes. So that's something that it confuses a little bit, but in the practice, when you start texturing or you start surfacing, you're gonna understand, because that's pretty important. In this case, for example, we already have everything in here. Let's just be sure. In this case, for example, we need to check, for example, the island scales. For example, in average island scales, let's just click it. I already have my shortcut. As you can see in there, is Control A. Let's just do it. Control A. I just customize it, and it's gonna rescale everything, because possibly this guy, I'm gonna show you right now, the textile density for this guy possibly is this, is 46 pixels in there, but possibly this guy has a different UV space. It has 18%, but this one has completely different. But let's see these guys that they have completely, I know, because visually we saw it with it, I saw it with my own eyes. Let's just calculate, and as you can see here, we have 67 pixels in there. So it means that this guy has completely different. 46. Let's just process the let's just average the island scale in here. Let's just control A, and then let's just check this guy. It's 55, has the same, it's a variant of millimeters. It's almost nothing. Everything is equal in here, 100% equal. What does this means? It means that all the textures are gonna be equal in every shape in here. So let's just do something that people always tell me: how are you gonna pack everything without having any conflict with the rotations and things like that? So we're gonna do the same thing. The next thing, we're gonna click Control P, and then we're gonna bring the packing island tool. We already have struct shape, concaves, boundary shapes, bounding box. In my case, I always work with struct shapes concave. That is really accurate. I don't need to do anything else. I want to maintain my scales or preserve the scales, but I don't want to rotate. If I rotate this guy and then I apply the pack, he's gonna rotate everything as the computer thinks. I don't want that. I want to do it in my own way, in my comfortable zone. So let's just do again, Control P, and then we're gonna unclick, uncheck this guy. And this is the margin of error. I'm gonna put 0.016. It means that it's gonna, in real life, it's gonna do 6 pixels of margin of error, and then let's just pack it. So we already have equal spaces between these two guys and these two guys and these two guys. So this is what we already have. Is it worth it just to rotate these two guys in here exactly the same like the other guys? No, because these guys are from both sides, from left and right. I don't want that. These guys are in the top and the bottom. These guys are okay. But if I rotate these guys in horizontal and then I apply a texture that it follows X or follows Y way, the problem is that all these guys in here are gonna follow the texture motion, but not these guys, because they are not rotated in the proper way. So we already have this, but I want to have a little bit more space between the islands in here. I'm gonna do again the packing, and then I'm gonna just click 0.032, and then we have enough space. Let me just remind you guys, if we have extremely closed distance between islands, when you start texturing some specific areas, you're gonna have problems, because possibly your brush is gonna just, you will need to zoom pretty close in order just to avoid the other islands. Also, remember that we have a bleeding, the margin of error between islands. Doesn't matter when you export all your textures in Substance Painter or Designer, is gonna give you a margin of error. You can just tell him 0, but the problem is that sometimes you're gonna have some jaggy lines that they're gonna invade other islands. So just take it in mind. There's a lot of people that says you need to use all the space in there. Yeah, but this is completely okay. This is pretty good space in there. So we already have textured this guy. So I'm gonna bring, for this material, I'm gonna disconnect. Let me just open another window, and then I'm gonna just use the share editor. I'm gonna just rip these guys off, and then I'm gonna bring a texture for the testing, for the stretching and things like that. In my case, I don't care about in some specific occasions, I don't care about minimum stretching, but I want to know the way the texture is going, is flowing. So in this case, I'm gonna put UV test, and then I'm gonna change in generate type blank to color grid because it's gonna give me letters, and then I'm gonna connect the color in here, and then upstairs I'm gonna just visualize this in real time. So as you can see here, we already have this. So this is what I was telling you, because I make a straight lines in here, so it doesn't matter because this is not subdivide. In my case, for example, if I subdivide this guy like this, like 2 times, and then I change the keep boundaries to keep corners, so all the things are gonna disappear. This is for, in my case, this is for film and television broadcasting, but for video games we want to leave the things a little bit more in the original shape. We can tweak it just a little bit, but it depends on the how much it's gonna cost. I'm talking about money. So in this case we already have this. You can see the letters are just flowing pretty well. These are going horizontally, these are going vertically. This is going pretty good. So this is the this is the good example of UV texturing in here. So let's just keep working with these guys, and let's just bring the other guys that we have in here that they don't have UV maps or anything else. So for simple shapes, let's just go for simple shapes in here. This was medium. Let's just go for these guys in here. Let's just go for this guy, for this guy. Let's see what else. Let's just go for these 2 guys, and let's just UV map all of these guys. Let's just go for these guys. In this kind of case, the UVs are pretty easy. In this case, for example, let's just imagine that we have like some letter in here, and then we have some metallic in there, so we can separate all the stuff in here. For example, let's just separate this guy here. Let's just mark the seam. Let's just go to this way, and then let's just click in here until these guys in here, because we're gonna cut it and we're gonna just open it like a label, and then this guy is gonna separate just the shape it is right now. It's just a circular shape in there. So let's just ungrab these guys. Let's see how they behave in here in the UV map. Let's just go angle base. We have something like this. It's actually pretty good, but we can just go, for example, for conformal. This is what I was telling you. For example, for these kind of shapes, conformal is not so good, but we can go, for example, for minimum. It almost gridified this with the calculations. In my case, for example, the only thing that I'm gonna do for this guy is this. Oh dear God. Okay, no, let's just merge these guys. Okay. The only thing that I'm gonna do with this guy is I'm just gonna gradify this guy, and that's it. I'm gonna Control A, just average the island in here, and then people again see how the things are working properly, because you don't know which one of these squares are the bottom, which one are the top squares, and things like that. So let's just uncheck this guy. Is this guy. Let's just click this guy here. Let's just put it like this. This is the way. This is the way that is properly done for this guy, I think. So yeah, there it is. So in this case, for example, I'm just gonna ungrab again in here. So it's angle base. Let's just go for conformal. Yeah, we can have different things in here. So we can have minimum with the minimum stretch tool in here, and we can have conformal or angle base in here. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they have pretty good positive deformations. The numbers are exactly in a good way. In my case, for example, I'm just gonna rotate this guy. exit the area. Oh yeah, I hate those float on windows like this. Let's just start just rotating this guy, and let's just rotate it 90 degrees. I want to see the letters in there, so they're invert 100%. Let's just rotate 180, and there you go, guys. So we already have the letters in here, and we have the letters in the other section, so we don't have any bad distortions in there. So let's just continue um, um, UV unwrapping these guys. So let's just go for the other shapes in here. Let's just go for this guy. I think this is the sensor. So let's just see how is this shaping here. So as you can see, the shaping here has some gaps in here. So let's just separate this guy in here. Let's separate this guy, and we're gonna mark the seam, and we're gonna also separate this guy in here. We're gonna just start clicking this guy, and we're gonna just cut it in there, just a small portion in there. Let's just ungrab this guy, and we're gonna do angle base, and we can gridify this guy and this guy. Let's just do it, and let's just let's see how is the distortions in here. Okay, let's just be sure that this guy, okay, yeah, we are in there. Okay, let's just put it just a little bit like this, and yeah, let's just average the islands, Ctrl P, let's just pack it. We have the shapes in a proper way. Let's just see. Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, 180. Yeah, there you go. And these guys also 180. There you go. So we already have everything properly scaled. Let's just give it some margin of error. So we have this guy, something like this is working properly. And let's just go, for example, for something a little bit more complex. Or no, let's just finish these guys with the same tools. In order just to give you a small review, let's just mark the seam. Let's just unwrap it. We have this. This is working properly good. This is going really nice. We can just, well, we can rotate it this, or we can just have this guy here. 180. It's alright. Yeah, that's alright. Let's just go for the other guys. For example, this one. Oh, let's just select and identify the borders. Let's just select this guy. Let's just leave it like that. Yeah, let's just leave it like that. And then we're gonna make the cut in here. We're gonna deselect this guy, mark the seam, then let's just ungrab this guy, and we're gonna have these two. I have a shortcut for my gradify. As you can see, it doesn't show in here the shortcut, but I have a shortcut. It is Shift Q, and then there you go. So let's just see how the things are working properly with this guy. Let's just rotate minus 90 degrees. Okay, it's reverse, minus 180. Let's just, for example, this guy in here. Okay, I already know is this guy. Let's just put it like this. Control A, Control P, then pack it. So what do we have right now? As you can see here, we already have several pieces already UV mapped. Let's just understand one thing. As you can see here, the letters in here and these ones are not the same size. Also with the rest of the pieces that we already UV mapped. So the size of the letters are completely different. We're gonna average the islands in this case. For example, let's just select everything, then go edit mode at the same time for everything, and then we're gonna do Control A and then Control P. Let's just see how it packets. So it's going pretty good actually. It's really good. Let me just rotate this guy. Possibly I can save some space. Let's just pack it again. And there you go. We have better spacing here. We have much better dimensions in here. We're gonna see it without the wireframe. So as you can see, the letters and the numbers are exactly the same scale for these guys. So this is already done for this guy. So this is a proper UV map process. Let's just go for these two guys. These guys, they don't have any thickness as long as I know. I think I didn't. Oh no, yeah, of course I did. I did some thickness in there, yeah. So let's just make a cut in there. Just make another cut in there. We're gonna have these two guys in a circular shape. Let's just do something like this. Let's just identify these two guys in here. Okay, this guy in here needs to be rotated like this, and this guy needs to be rotated like this way. For the other guys, in this case, because they're gonna be the back position, I'm just gonna align these guys like this, like a cross, and then I'm gonna pack these guys like this. Let's just finish what we have in here. It's alright. So let's just go for something a little bit more complex. Let's just go for this guy in here, this guy in here. So what do we have in here? So we have several areas that we need to take care about. For example, in this case, we have some areas for the bolts. So let's just, for example, make a cut in here. Let's just make the cut in there because we're gonna separate this in a circular shape. Also, we're gonna do exactly the same for the rest of these guys because we don't want to deal with so many unnecessary shapes and holes in the islands. With so many islands, let's just make this cut in here. I'm also gonna cut this outer bevel in there, because if the client wants to add some graphics in there and it's gonna decide, and if they decide to add some specific shots in there, so we can separate in a different UV set and give it more resolution. We're gonna do exactly the same for these areas, all of this. We don't want to mess with so many islands because these guys are not so important. So we already have this. Let's just start just making these guys. I'm gonna separate this guy and this guy. I'm gonna just make the cut, and then I'm gonna start just making the cut in here. I'm gonna cut in the middle because I want to have one piece in the top, one in the bottom. We already have some I know we have the borders, but in this case, for example, we already have this and this, and we have the middle. So this is the camera will never see this, not in a slow motion. So in this case, I'm gonna separate these guys. I'm gonna unwrap these guys. And as you can see here, we already have something pretty interesting and very clear. So let's just check the UVs in here. So we have these guys. Then we have the inner section that we already have for this section in here, the thick. So we're gonna make some cuts in there. We're gonna make some cuts because we don't want to have something with this shape. This shape is a little bit messy. I don't like it. And then I'm gonna just I'm gonna unwrap again with conformal. Let's see how it behaves. It behaves pretty good actually. Let's just unwrap these guys with minimum. It works pretty nice actually, as you can see here. It works really good. But I'm gonna rotate these guys like this. I'm gonna rotate this guy, and then I'm gonna rotate this guy like 90 degrees. I don't want to have any issues about identifying things. So let's just Ctrl P, pack it. So we already have something like this. And yeah, if you don't want to have anything inside of these holes in here, so let's just move these guys outside and make like in a specific area for those guys. If you don't want to have any like annoying things in your head for this, let's just bring these guys, for example, something like this. And I'm gonna show you another tool next to, for example, nothing is aligned with these guys, so we can use these align tools in here. So let's just use, for example, this one, aligning vertical. So this is already aligned in a proper way. This is gonna help you so much because you don't want to waste so much space in there. For example, you can just make them a little bit more closed. Put something like this, and for example something like this, and we already have something pretty good organized in here. So for this case, I like what I have in here. This is actually pretty good. I'm gonna just leave it like that. I don't have any problems with the shapes of these guys in here. These are pretty good actually for me. If I want to just texture something in Substance Painter directly in the UVs, I just go for these sections in here. They're not 100% horizontal, but they're very they're okay for me. It's not so messy, so this is alright. So we already have something like this, guys. So we have everything like this. Let's just go for this piece, for the most complex piece, and then I'm gonna leave the tutorial in here because the rest of the pieces, they're gonna have exactly the same technique that I have already taught you here in this video. So I don't want to extend so much in the video. So first of all, I want to make some specific cuts in here. We already have some UVs for some specific areas, but I want to make some new different cuts, for example, for this shape that is in the front. I want to have something like this, and then I'm gonna make my cut also in this border. And let's just go for the other guys. For example, in my case, for example, I'm gonna have some different cuts for this guy, for example, in here and in here. Let's just go exactly for the same guy in the other side. Let's just go for this guy. Let's just cut this guy, and then what is gonna be next, for example, these guys in here are gonna be a little bit annoying because they have different shapes. For example, let's just cut in here because we already have prepared this the tessellation is already prepared for this guy. So I covered that section because I know this would be a nightmare if I model in a pretty bad shape to UV map. For example, let's just do this. Let's just start making some cuts in here. Let's just cut in here, we're gonna make a cut in there, and also possibly we're gonna make cut also for this guy in here. Let's just make something like this. Yep, let's just make this guy here. Let's just deselect what we don't need in here. Let's just cut it in here. Let's just mark the seam. And then we're gonna just we need to analyze. Okay, if we're gonna ungrab, so okay, we're gonna have an oval of the border. So let's just make a cut in there, in here. We can make it in there, or we can make it in the bottom, in order just to have something like this, because we have a lot of support lines in there. Yep, I think that's the good idea. Let's just mark the seam. Let's just select everything and let's just ungrab everything. Let's just do angle base. We already have something like this. We need to understand that. So we have something like this. I think we will need to make another cut in there. I think so. Let's just cut it and let's just ungrab it again. And there you go, guys. So we already have something like this. Let's just ungrab this in a minimum stretch. And then I'm gonna use the conformal for these guys. Let's see how they behave. They're behaving pretty good. This is what I was telling you guys. This is actually pretty good. Actually, I can just rip this guy off. Let's just ungrab this guy. For example, ungrab again. So, oh, okay, I understand now. For example, this guy here. Let's just we don't have to cut everything in here. Let's just get pretty close. Let's just deselect this guy in here because we want to maintain the shape of the front view. Let's just do it again. Let's just ungrab just this guy and it's already attached. So we have pretty good control about everything. Let's just use the conformal for everything. It's alright. It's okay. Let's just use conformal. Let me check. Okay. The problem with this, it was this. I understand now why. Okay, yeah. This should be mark seam again. Yeah. Okay, let's just do it again. Conformal. There you go. We already have these two pieces. We have this piece, and we have the rest of the pieces. Why I didn't mark the seams for these guys? Because in dealing in the 3D viewport with the mark seams in some specific areas that they are pretty high, it's really complex. So in here, for example, I can identify the borders like these guys in here, like this guy, easily than outside, and then make the mark seams in there. I prefer just to do these guys in here. And also for the circular guys, I can mark my seams too in here, and then just mark the seam, select again these guys, ungrab like conformal or minimum stretch, and there you go, guys. So Control A, Control P, and we have this pack in here in a very proper way. Let's just put again this. So we have pretty good space. We had nice sections in here. Let's just go back with the pieces that we already have UV mapped. Let's just select those guys. Let's just make the let's just average the scale of those guys. Let's just make it in order just to show you how the things are working properly. Don't worry about the UDIMs right now. The UDIMs are not gonna be important at this point. Once you already have everything on grab, then you can just organize your stuff manually, or if you want to call the UV packer or the normal packer and then just go group by groups, that's good. That's 100% okay. It means that you care about your project. Let's just Control A, then Control P, and then pack it. Let's see how it behaves. It's actually is going pretty good. We can reduce the space in the packing process, like 0.016. Let's see. It's going pretty good. Actually, I like it. It's actually going pretty good. I like it. We can rectify this guy. Shift Q. It's alright. And as you can see in here, we have nice and dandy propagation and scale of the UVs in here. So it's really clear, and we know what is everything in here. We know what is everything in here. So we have order. We can rectify manually with other techniques these guys, but I'm gonna show you in the next video because I'm gonna finish these guys and I'm gonna show you some small tips in there. So thank you very much and have a good night. That's it, guys. Enjoy. Cheers.